My love, happy Monday. So last week I was not able to vlog. Oh goodness, I'm gonna look a little tubby. Let's tip this up. We just gonna hold on. This is also like my third time recording this video, so we're not re-recording. Okay, let's get our picture in there because Kenny Supreme did that. See that? You see that? That picture was handmade for me and my baby. That's not even what we're here to talk about. It's just fire. Okay, I'm back. So last week I was supposed to, of course, a vlog. I was sick as hell. Had the worst cold. I won't say the worst cold that I've had in a long time. It's my one a year cold. Every year I get a cold and that motherfucker take me out. Okay, and this year wasn't no different. I had to take off work. I wasn't feeling good, etc. Last week, my coach showed up around like Wednesday. So essentially, I had recorded a video that could have been posted last Friday. But something happened with my mic. I don't know. I think I need to order another set of mics. Actually, the other one that I ordered was defective. This came in a group of two. And this one, for the last video, that's why I'm kind of like double checking. This green, the light green. I did not double check in the last video that my light was green, and I think my sound went out, because if you are connected to the base of the microphone and the actual mic is not on, it's just dead silence. Um, but even though I was kind of like sad that that video did not have any sound, so me being extremely sick Friday resulted in y'all not getting a video. I realized something very important, and I'm grateful that that happened, and I like to think that all things happen for a reason. I realized that last week I dipped deep into some of the most traumatic experiences I've ever had in my life. Turned on this camera and started to talk about them. And I was hysterically crying in front of this camera and all of those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let me first start by saying this. There is nothing wrong with being a person who needs to express in that kind of way. I am not that person. I am not that person. And I realized that I was about to share my story. And the reason I thought about this is because a friend of mine, I was talking to her about it and telling her how emotional the vlog had made me and all of these things. And she was just constantly like, thank you. I love you. I love that you shared your story. I appreciate that you shared your story. And I thank her for thanking me. But the conversation I had with her made me realize that this is inauthentic to me. And so I dived a little deeper into self-reflection, and I realized that I sat last week for 30 minutes and cried and told you guys some of the most traumatic stories in my life that it took me weeks to even tell my therapist. But I was willing to put this on the internet and share it blindly with YouTube. And I asked myself, when I do self-reflection, I don't talk to Harley, I talk to Rika. So I asked myself, why you do that? And my response was realer than I thought it was gonna be. I'm gonna be real with you. It was it was like, because I want to prove to people who think I got such a good life that I don't have a good life. And I said with that thought, I'm so grateful, not happy because the sickness was horrible, but I'm grateful to have been able to sit down um for the last few days. Excuse me, y'all. I'm still a little sick, so y'all can get some coughs. Excuse me. Y'all can get some coughs and some sniffles in this 20 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I was willing to make myself uncomfortable just to prove to people who probably shouldn't be in my fucking life or on my fucking page in the first place that I struggle. Those of you who have been following me for a while, or those of you who are new here, know that I am a extreme optimist. I'm always smiling. I'm always happy. And that has made a lot of people make me feel like I don't deserve to feel sad about the shit that makes me feel sad because I play too much, I joke too much. Like I think about a friend of mine who told me I don't deserve to be sad on Mother's Day because I tell too many jokes about single mothers. Bitch, I had 3 miscarriages. I've literally watched and felt my children leave my body. One time while in the front of a classroom teaching other people's kids. I don't give a fuck how many jokes I tell. I have every right to feel sad when I want to feel sad. And I don't owe nobody my story. I don't owe nobody my deepest, darkest moments to prove to you or him or her or them that I am worthy of your empathy or I am worthy of being believed or that somehow my life is essentially authentic now that I've showed you that I struggle. That's not who I am. I've showed y'all something that I don't really show people in the first place. I started this vlog from a place of struggle. From a place of I don't know what the hell finna happen in my life. I'm about to be taking care of I'm about to be helping somebody take care of their kid every day. There's about to be a kid in my house every day. The anniversary of that is coming up. It's about to be a year of me essentially helping someone take care of a kid. And that was a big step. That was huge for me to do. And I'm so grateful that I did it because I needed that. I needed that space. I started that because I needed that space. I vented to a camera about my partner because I'm not going to go tell my friends and my family because I know that some of them are not going to be as forgiving as I am. And I'm not going to constantly run it up and down my partner's inbox because eventually it feels like an attack and I'm not gonna constantly come to his mom. So I created this space between me and anybody who chooses to turn on the camera to hear how I feel as a person who had to let go of a part of myself to start a new life, right? And then I eventually shifted and said that this new life is not my whole life. So I'm going to tell you my story. But I want to tell y'all my story in a way that feels authentic to me. It doesn't feel authentic to me to sit here and tell y'all all the people who have touched me when I didn't want to be touched, who have put their hands on me when I didn't want to have their hands put on me, who have hit me, who have mistreated me, who has put me through this and that. If you are a person who follows my content and you believe my life is inauthentic because I won't share with you the deepest, darkest parts of my life, feel free to remove yourself. But that's just not how I want this vlog space to be for myself. And it's crazy because I came to this conclusion because of how enthusiastic and passionate a friend of mine was about the fact that I shared it. Because I feel like she really did need to know that people were sharing in that way so she could feel comfortable sharing in that way. So I am so grateful that I influenced her in that way. But if I sit back and I do my real self-reflection, I have to be honest with myself and say that that's not authentic to me. I don't do that. And I don't want to change the fact that I don't do that. I don't like sharing the deepest, darkest parts of myself with people. Not all the time, no. If it is, excuse me, if it is relevant to the conversation we're having, absolutely. If I find myself on somebody's podcast and they're talking about things like self-harm, things like mental abuse, things like physical abuse, and one of those stories that I shared last week in a video that literally went mute, like I said, I don't know if it was the microphone, I don't know. Um, if I can share in a more authentic live space those stories with people, I absolutely will. I have no excuse me. I have no qualms with doing that. But this space, my vlog space, was a space for me. And to be honest, that's not something that I would have even felt comfortable uploading and then I would have been watching. I would have been looking to see who's watching this. Because one of those stories was about someone who came into my life through my mother. And I haven't even talked to my mother about that story for real. I can't do that. I won't do that. I'm going to have that conversation with my mother. But even after I have that conversation with my mother, it won't come to the internet unless I know it is directly helping somebody. That means I'm sitting, like I said, I'm sitting on a podcast and somebody's like, my audience wants to know boom, 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 boom. If it applies to me, I'm gonna definitely put myself out there and do that. It just didn't feel right last week. But after expressing myself, because I did need to say those things, and then talking to a friend of mine about it, I realized that what is authentic to me is taking the lessons that I've learned from things and focusing my content on the lesson. I could sit here just like many of the thousands, maybe even millions of people on the internet and just tell you my business. And I'm sure that there are a ton of people around this world that are willing to listen to my business and tell their own business too, child. But that's not what I want for myself. And that's not what I want for my vlog space. Like I said, if my YouTube, if my TikTok, if my whatever never gets so viral that I could quit my job, I'm not against working a job. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work this customer service job for that much longer, because it is wearing away at just like my self-confidence. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But I say that to say I'm not going to share things that are that deep to me in the internet space only for the internet fame. I'm going to share those things because they feel authentic to share. And if I'm being honest, even if that video had sound, I probably would not have shared it if I had just sat and rewatched it when I do the editing. Like today, I'm going to record and edit because we got to pop this up so that way we can be right on track for this upcoming week. Because this week, I'll talk to you guys about my experience with life coaching. But I realize that there needs to be a space, right, where I talk about the fact that I have been abused. I have been in romantic relationships where I have been physically abused by people that I've dated. I have been in situations where I have been sexually abused by people who I do not know. And I have been in situations where I have experienced unwanted touch by people who I do know. And essentially people who are close to other people in my family, my mother specifically. And I did not want to be touched in that way. And I am not 100% sure if my mother paid attention to or even knew that that was happening. But I don't want to share that story here until I've shared that story with her, right? But what I do want to happen in this space, in this 20 minutes that I have here with you guys, is I want to share with you what came out of me sitting here for 30 minutes and crying my face off and talking about the deepest, darkest parts of my life. Three major points came out, and I actually wrote them down so I don't talk all over the place. The first point that came down for me was the duality that happens as you grow up as a woman. Like when you're a little girl, everything that happened to you under your mother's watch is her fault. How could you? You were the mother. You were supposed to keep me safe. As you become a woman and you make mistakes of your own, like these are, again, these children in this house are not my kids. But my partner and I, we've made some mistakes already with raising these kids that one day they might be on the vlog talking about, you know, one of my stepsons might one day take to the internet and say, I've needed something or wanted something in my life, and I felt like my dad didn't want to get it because he just wanted to be with his wife. And I don't feel like his wife really cared that I wasn't getting the things that I wanted. I don't know if that's their truth. But as a kid, there's a lot of things that we lack that parents don't even recognize that are lacking because we are just trying to survive. And so when I was a kid, I wanted everything that happened wrong to me under my mother's watch to be her fault. But there's duality in this space of like, I know that you did not mean for that to happen. I know that you were just trying to find love, or I know that you were just trying to, be close to somebody, or I know that you were just trying to survive. That doesn't mean that I allow you to evade responsibility, right? Because you are still the adult. But as I get older, I develop more grace for my mother and other mothers because I realize that every mother is a human being. And it's hard as hell to live a life where you're responsible for somebody else. The first 30 years of my life, I have not ever really been responsible for another person. I still don't fully feel responsible for another person. But I'm now living a life where I have intertwined my life with a person who is responsible for two people and solely responsible for one. I would be a fool to pretend that that responsibility doesn't fall on me. When I make money, when I get money, when I get anything, when anything comes into my life, the first thing I think about is no longer myself, my needs, my nails, my hair. I think about my stepsons. I think about my partner. I think about my home. I think about the family that I'm building. So I know for a fact that my responsibility has changed. And as that changed, I realized that I'm going to want grace. And that helps me give my mother grace through things in my life that I probably have been holding on to and not willing to give her grace for. The second thing that comes up for me, because we are going to go over our 20-minute mark. I'm sorry, guys. The second thing that comes up for me is you deserve to tell your story how you want to tell your story. Last week, I realized that I was going to share my story as far as gruesome details of my story because I wanted certain people in my life to know that the passion that I have around healing is authentic. That was such an oxymoron, or it just didn't make sense to do that. Like, to do something inauthentic to prove authenticity is so fucked up. And I don't think I'm a fucked up person. But that was a fucked up decision. Because every person who has ever experienced hurt should feel comfortable sharing in a way that makes them feel good. Like, I'm even going to name this week the way I share hurt, my experience with hurt, or my story. Maybe this week is just my story. Because I want my story to be a positive one. I don't want to sit here and tell you how horrible it felt to be touched by someone who I didn't want to touch me. How horrible it felt to get into a relationship with a man and have him put his hands on me. Because as you watch this, whether you are a black man or a black woman or a little girl or just, or non-binary, right? If you are just a human being watching this, you have experienced something that has broken your heart. Abuse does just that. Breaks your heart. And you have a right to share that heartbreak in a way that feels authentic to you. Sharing every gruesome detail is not authentic to me, and so I won't do it. And I won't ask anybody else to do it. And so if you're watching this and you're like me and you only want to share that in intimate spaces that feel safe for you, then continue to do that. I've shared these stories with my therapist. I am going to share these stories with my mother and my family. Those are the spaces that I feel comfortable sharing them with. I've shared them with some of my friends who are super close and I hope near and dear to my heart. That's where I feel comfortable sharing it with. I don't feel comfortable just sharing it on the internet, not knowing who can take it and grab it and switch the words up. And no, it's not good to me. And the final thing that comes out to me, we might make it to our 20-minute mark because I shouldn't take me a minute to talk about this, but it takes me about a minute to say goodbye to y'all. So whatever. The last thing that I want to share is no matter what kind of abuse you've experienced, let me double check and make sure my light is still green. It is. Cool. They don't win. One of the reasons that I am a severe optimist is because if I've already experienced something negative in my life, I don't want the negative thing to hurt me twice by me, by me now wearing it on my shoulder. Like, look, this person has hurt me. And they hurt me out of not giving a fuck about me. But every day I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna care enough about them that I'm gonna let their life, their name, their story live on. By every day I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna wear this hurt. No, fuck them and that hurt. Any person who has ever hurt me, whether out of malicious intent or unintentionally, just because they are negligent, they either meant it or they didn't. They're either sorry or they're not. Neither of those things matter to me because I got one goal in life. Rika gonna be happy. Harley gonna be happy. Whoever you want to call me, the bitch gonna be happy. I got one goal in life. Have fun. Enjoy myself. Smile as much as possible. That is non-negotiable. Everything else is negotiable. My man, these kids. I love my mama. She ain't negotiable because she a part of my life. But my relationship with her, if she was a person that was damaging that one goal, negotiable. Sisters, brothers, cousins, negotiable. Friends of all nature, negotiable. Business partners, jobs, hair. I don't know. It's all negotiable. Because I want to be happy. I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to see myself as a victim. And if you are watching this video and you've experienced hurt in any kind of way, if somebody has abused you in any kind of way, you don't have to see yourself as a victim. I am a survivor. I won't matter. I won't come back. I'm sorry. Focus, ADHD. But seriously, y'all, I'm not those bad things that happen to me, and neither are you. And I believe that there is a space for those things. I believe there is a space for the hard parts of life. I just believe that I am privileged enough that my intimate spaces, my mother, my family, the family that I'm building, those are sufficient spaces for me to share. And I love y'all. Y'all are my family. Just as much as my blood is my family, my internet family, y'all are my family. But I would rather meet you in person and have those conversations with you than to just post them as a video, not knowing when and how they land on you, and allowing you or anybody else to interpret the deepest, darkest parts of my life without me being there. That's just not my preference. And so if I could give you anything this week as I tell my story, is once you decide how you want to tell your story, stand behind it. That's what I'm doing today. I could have re-recorded and tried to re-access those emotions, but I realized that even the initial act was not authentic. I don't want to do that. I'm not the type of person that comes and tells people exactly what happened to me. What's wrong with me? Let's talk about it. I don't do that. I call my mama. And if I can't talk to my mama about it and I can't talk to my siblings about it, I go to the bathroom and I get in the shower and I cry about it and I pray about it and I move on. I am not the type of person who needs to externally process. I don't need everybody to be a part of my healing. But I love that I can show you guys the lessons that have come out of my healing. Because I think that is more valuable than sitting for 30 minutes and listening to my fucking business. I believe that the video that I recorded last week was important for me. Watching myself be sad, watching myself be in those moments was important for me. And I got that experience. The best thing for my platform, though, is the video that I'm recording today. Is me being authentic about the fact that I was about to lie to y'all. I'm working through it being a liar. Not even so much that I was about to lie to y'all, but I was about to make y'all think that I was more hurt about things that I'm not. A lot of the things that I shared last week are emotions that I've suppressed. And if I'm being honest, after I finished crying my face off about them, I tucked them back into my chest because that's who I am. I am a person who suppresses their emotions because that feels healthy and safe for me. If I grow up more and get more mature and start to want to express my emotions in a more expressive place, maybe that'll change. But today and right now, I am a person who would rather tell you I'm fine than to tell you everything that's going on in my mind, because I personally feel that it's better to have a conversation of optimism than it is to have one where I express the deepest, darkest things that have happened to me. And so that's where I'll leave you. I love y'all. And I appreciate those of you who support me. I am working through being authentic because I realized that I was going to join the internet circus, right? My video got cut off by an alarm that I set for my lunch. That alarm just lets me know that we can go ahead and wrap this up. Um, I was about to be inauthentic and do something that I would cringe at. And I actually don't want to do that. This feels more authentic to me. And I hope this finds you well because it left me well. I feel good, y'all. I am a survivor of the hardest things that have happened in my life. I am not a victim of them. And if I need to share the worst parts of my life with you for you to find a place in your heart to have empathy for me, then please, by all means, keep your empathy. I hope you have a great week. I will be talking to y'all again this week because it's Monday, and I'll be talking to you by Friday of this week. But thank you guys. Okay, something just moved. But thank you guys for your time, and I love you guys. Have a great week.